Hello, it's been a very long time, or possibly instantly if you just click the play next video button. I'm Richard, the better of the two.
And I am Karl, the best of the two.
And welcome to Richard and Karl present Deep Space and Dragons. So before we get into whatever topic we haven't decided on yet, what's new in the world of Karl?
Oh, well, see, I have this like whole big rant. See, okay, so it starts with a little bit of a flashback.
All right, cueing the black and white, the grainy. So for the Bleach flashbacks, they literally, because it was in the wrong aspect ratio, zoomed up and then like shaky cam grave filtered it where they like desaturated and only had the red be colored. It was really cool. Please continue.
Okay, well, so circa 2009.
Oh lord, most of our viewers aren't even old enough to have been alive when this happened.
But so sometime around there, you introduced me to a website called tvtropes.com.
Correct. tvtropes.com gets like cited in like 3 out of 4 papers I write.
That's pretty funny. I mean, and so like the whole point of tvtropes.com is to be a database of tropes, like for example the disfigured villain, which ignoring the social implications allows people to quickly identify.
Side note: TV Tropes will actually point out the social implications. It's been a pretty good site for me so far, but please continue.
Well, I'm just saying it's like the disfigured villain is like in everything like Bond movies are super famous for it, but like the Legend of Arslan has a disfigured villain, which
evil makes you ugly trope.
With the masked villain. Yeah.
Darth Vader.
I mean, Darth Vader.
He went from his modeling career to falling in lava.
But more to the point of this story, tvtropes.com has a trope. They call it Unobtainium. Which, I mean, is in my recollection, a rare mineral or resource which drives the conflict of your plot that generally doesn't actually get obtained. And
for the record, the trope namer was the James Cameron Avatar movie, which apparently got a sequel where they're doing the Water Nation, and then after that the Earth one, then the Fire Nation, then Sozin's Comet. But please continue.
I feel like you actually have a little bit of causality reversed here because I watched this. I went on this website and I found this Unobtainium trope, and then I went to see James Cameron's Avatar.
You did it backwards, huh?
And I was actually upset at how blunt and tactless this generic evil CEO says, we're here for this Unobtainium because it sells for lots of money, and he just basically yells at the audience like, this is what the core driver of our plot is.
It was efficient. I mean, to be fair, is that any different than going, and then a last ring was made? One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring in darkness to bind them. The source of Sauron's power is this one ring, and in Bilbo's pocket, a ring.
But it was just it was very blunt, and the original Avatar, the simplicity of its themes is probably part of what made it as juggernaut. But I was not really impressed because it was like
it's just Fern Gully with CGI. Sorry.
Well, also like Space Pocahontas. It's Space Pocahontas.
No, definitely Fern Gully. Like, watch Fern Gully. It has the same graphic stylings going on, especially well, you're here to destroy our forest, but I turned you small to be a forest creature. Anyway, continue. This is the first Avatar, right? Because I haven't seen Avatar 2, Water Blue Galoo.
Well, I mean, so it was like, in my opinion, it was just like, it was so blunt and straightforward that it's like, they made it very clear that the visuals of the movie were the primary focus, and everything else kind of came second. So it was like it has very one-dimensional characters, a very predictable plot, and like the characters that fall in love, they don't fall in love because they actually have chemistry. They fall in love because that's what the plot dictates.
Yes.
And he decides to become an avatar and stay there not.
With his USB hair.
I guess he does have some more personal motivation in that he's no longer in a wheelchair if he stays as an avatar.
Well, not just that, but he's also no longer in corporate debt if he just stays an avatar. Like, I'm just going to say there's Chapter 9 bankruptcy, Chapter 12 bankruptcy, and then transferring your consciousness into an alien on a distant planet. And one of those may actually slow down student loan debt collectors. Not stop, slow down.
But the point of the matter is that while I agree that it was a visual spectacle, and it was very well crafted in that sense, I didn't like the original Avatar.
That's fair. I didn't either.
As a movie, as a story, it didn't really grab me because it was so generic.
Yeah, and then Avatar 2 is coming out, and me and my brother had a very lengthy discussion. So, just to put some perspective in things / flex a bit, right now it is 1 degrees outside. So, my classmates are freezing to death, and I'm in, like, booty shorts and a t-shirt eating a freezy. So, me and my brother are out for a walk, and here's our debate about the second Avatar. So, there's no reason to see it outside of a theater because it's entirely special effects. However, it's a 2-hour-plus movie in a COVID incubation chamber, or cold, or flu, or whatever virus incubation you need, while our healthcare system's capped. And is it worth dying over? So, the second Avatar movie, we have no reason to see it here, because our theaters are too crowded, and I don't want to die to watch possibly good special effects. But there is no plot. There's only special effects, so there's no reason to just buy it on DVD.
Well, okay, so I mean, that's actually where things come around to what's actually new with me, because obviously, 2009 is not new.
Oh yeah, I remember 2009.
Yeah, it was that time we went on that website, tvtropes.com.
Yeah, I'm sure nothing else. What even happened in 2009 other than that?
And Avatar was released? I don't know.
Let's see. Oh, Barack Obama. That happened.
That was when he got elected?
Yeah, it was when he was sworn in as the 44th president.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I mean, I Googled what happened in 2009. And so Barack Obama became president, and to balance out the universe, Michael Jackson died in strange circumstances. I'm not saying those things are related. I'm just also not saying they're not related.
But okay, so, I mean, despite my misgivings about the original Avatar, I personally am actually surprisingly excited to go and see Avatar 2, because I'm actually invested in James Cameron's pursuit of artistic filmmaking.
Well, it's kind of funny, because I've watched you slowly become more and more of a film buff over the last year, where you're like, you're not watching it for the story anymore. You're watching it and trying to, like, look at the various components that make it up. But please continue.
Well, yeah, I don't want to be like a cinema snob or anything.
I mean, you could just go to school, get a degree in cinematography, equally disappoint your parents, but then have a piece of paper that says you know what you're talking about.
Well, it's like I definitely understand your point of view about theaters being crowded places that
well, a lot of his context, because I'd be throwing my life away to go see a theater in Ontario, does not mean in Saskatchewan you don't have a mostly empty, chill building with a functional healthcare system. I just want to say that if I do something because I think it's safe or unsafe, that doesn't universally apply, because my existence isn't a universal factor. Most people do not get the privilege of being me.
That is very true. But see, so like I was actually like James Cameron was a pioneer of like motion capture, and like the visual effects were and still are fairly stunning for the original.
Oh, and also saying people are at the top of the world when they're at sea level, which is objectively not the top of the world.
But, and from my understanding, part of the reason that the Avatar 2 took so long to come out is because he had to invent underwater 3D camera rigs and underwater motion capture suits.
Which, I mean, is fascinating. And I do intend to send you as a spy so you can tell me how well that worked.
Well, I mean, I am just like so curious. Firstly, like,
why?
Where did they actually go? Like, how the story was so like finite, and it was a very definitive story. Like it had an opening, beginning, and end, and there wasn't really
And an
anything
animated singing bat.
left.
Oh wait, that's Fern Gully, the same movie.
It didn't really have any unresolved plot points that could really sequelize it, right? Like it was just like,
Yeah, no, he just went to the New World, named himself John Smith, hooked up with an Aboriginal person, and we're just going to ignore the horrifying ramifications of colonization.
colonization with the most extreme blackface possible.
Oh no! Oh no! I wasn't going to go there. Disclaimer, this show, for the record, to anyone listening to our podcast, is objectively anti-blackface. We are not Trudeau. The number of times us combined have used blackface is 0.
I'm just saying, putting yourself in an avatar body of another race so you can infiltrate their society is pretty...
Trudeau? Did you see his trip to India? Not to get all political, but he definitely tried to build himself an avatar to go to India. Like, he left in a normal suit and tie, and left in, like, traditional wear to show up at a meeting where everyone else is in suits and ties. It was quite great. Anywho.
Well, so what's new with me is that I actually purchased tickets to go see it with my girlfriend tomorrow as of the recording of this podcast. Because I am just really, really curious about this, like James Cameron has made some excellent sci-fi movies, including, Terminator, Terminator 2, and Titanic.
I love how Titanic went on the sci-fi list. Like, I like the version of Titanic in my brain that takes place in the same cinematic universe as Avatar and Terminator is pretty great.
Well, okay, the theory goes, so first off,
so our episode at this point has become about Avatar and James Cameron at this point. Like, the title of the episode is probably going to be Obtaining the Unobtainable. We talk about the Avatar you're not here for.
Okay, but so in Titanic, Jack's bag at the start of the movie...
Oh, we're doing the Titanic to Avatar actual cinematic universe pipeline. I love this.
Yeah,
do it. Let's do it.
It's not era appropriate. His bag is apparently not era appropriate for when the Titanic...
Yeah, it's an anachronism. Continue.
And then Jack himself, at least twice throughout the movie, makes mention of 2 man-made structures.
Oh, I need to pause for one moment. Anachronism, like an out-of-place object, actually came up on a final exam I wrote this semester. This piece of information got me a grade point. That is all. Please continue.
But so Jack himself also makes reference to 2 man-made structures that weren't actually built when the Titanic was set sail. And so then the theory is that Jack is actually a time traveler.
And that's why he only dates women under 30. Oh, wait, I'm thinking DiCaprio. Please continue.
Well, I mean, then, as the theory goes, if Rose had actually managed to jump off the back of the boat, then the boat would have had to turn around and would not have hit the iceberg, and then probably would have been sunk by German U-boats, causing the U.S. Army to join World War II earlier and not be able to actually push through the Allies through to victory, and they would have lost, the Allies would have lost to Axis in World War II, is the theory as to why Leonardo DiCaprio, as Jack, time traveled back to stop her from jumping off the boat.
So this is the start of the pipeline, because remember, him being a time traveler is part of the first theory of he was a time travel. The much better theory is why this is relevant in taking down Skynet. So the second theory starts on that theory. It starts with we have the boat, U-boats take it down, changes World War II. But what it doesn't talk about is if America joined sooner in the technological arm race, they started going through, and the whole nuclear race started back and forth about 6 months earlier or so. This caused Einstein to no longer defect, which caused, I can't remember the name of it, but long story short, because of the changes to World War II, it resulted in us researching artificial intelligence technology way sooner, which leads to Skynet and us all dying. So he had to go and save her, but also had to make sure he died at the end, even though there was room on that door for 2 people, because it needed to be a closed loop, so we could get to the correct timeline to give us a way to fight against Skynet, because if Skynet had German engineering, it would be unstoppable. However, What they don't mention is this created the branching timeline where we evolved technological enough to go to alien planets to get to the Unobtainium first before the machines in the Matrix can acquire it. It's a whole thing.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you just look at his filmography for James Cameron. It's like everything he does is like sci-fi, except for Titanic.
Yeah, because he wanted to get the money to do sci-fi. Like, let's do the non-fan theory. Let's do a much more off-the-wall, me doing the close reading, why is the door blue nonsense that we love to do in education. And I'm going to talk about why he did what he did. So we're looking at his list of movies, right? We got Xenogenesis in 1978. This is what he wants to do. This is what he's passionate about, right? And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to do Piranha 2. All right, still pretty on brand. I'm going to do Terminator. Completely on brand. I'm going to do Rambo. Okay, he wasn't the director, the producer, the editor. Someone's like, hey, we watched like the action scenes of the Terminator. Make Sylvester Stallone cool in Rambo 2. And he's like, I'm not going to say no, I need money. Then he does The Abyss. Then he does Terminator. He's like, okay, I'm out of money. I did my sci-fi. I need money because I want to do Avatar. Because at this point, he's written Avatar. So then he does Titanic, True Lies, and Strange Days for the sole purpose of hoarding money to make his space opera. And the entire reason he did the Titanic was because he knew that everyone on Earth is going to watch this already famous story he has the rights to fund the fun sci-fi things he actually wants to do with his life. Like,
no, yeah, because now he has enough money to invent underwater 3D camera rigs and
or do Alita Battle Angel. No one made him do that.
Oh, that's sad because it got trapped in limbo with the acquisition of Fox.
However, it was pretty good for an anime adaptation.
I rather enjoyed it. The sequel hooked the crap out of it, but that's going to be like the Golden Compass.
So yeah, that's my headcanon, is he did Titanic specifically to test out new technology for his sci-fi he wanted to do, because no one was going to fund underwater motion cap unless there was a shirtless Leonardo DiCaprio involved. Because he clearly likes sci-fi more. You don't agree to do 5 Avatar movies if you don't like sci-fi.
So, I mean, like, bringing this back around to Avatar 2, it's like, one of the other things, like, I've always kind of thought that when directors or actors, they go on screen and they say, this movie was made for the big screen, you gotta see it in theaters. And, they have this, like, vested interest. It's like they're trying to make money, they're trying to make their movie successful. And so they always kind of sound like they're, like, greedy cinema snobs. And
kind of like saying, you haven't lived until you've had a Baconator. Which, to be fair, is ironic because it reduces your lifespan. Baconator. Yeah, so I know, good. Right? I kind of want
Bacon.
I actually, yeah, true. But if you want to send me some Baconator sliders, because quite frankly, I think the Baconator is actually superior if you take the same recipe and make it the smaller burger size and have more of them.
Oh, so you want the Son of Baconators?
Yeah, those were the best thing they ever put out, by a wide margin. Anyway, looping back around, because I don't want to be caught in the ethics of if Wendy's sponsors us or we soulless monsters versus hey, free food, and I'm a student. And any student who turns down free food is kind of not doing the student thing right. Anyway, looping, Stereotopic 3D, best-selling movie of all time. They're going to have to fight Sozin's Comet. For the record, by the way, if they actually so the first movie set the setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if in the last 10 years he's then proceeded to actually write a saga, I mean, he could do something really cool. But the internet's like, hey, Avatar Way of Water. Let me guess, you find a boy in an iceberg and have to fight Zhao, right?
Yeah. Oh, and he has 4 movies for the 4 books.
Yep. So he has to go to the Water Nation, the Earth Kingdom, and then Fire Nation, and then the ill-received sequel, which was objectively better except for love triangles. Sorry, I think I'm on the wrong Avatar again. Although I'm surprised the first Avatar didn't have a love triangle. It feels like there would have been one in there. Not that it would have improved it in any way, it just kind of seems like the thing they would do.
Well, I mean, they wanted to keep it simple, which was part of the reason they appealed to such a large audience, is because the core themes and the ideas presented were incredibly easy to digest, and then the movie was beautiful. And so people were like, oh, this is beautiful, and I get what's actually going on.
All right, so I pulled up the list of tropes in Avatar to start going over and discussing them, because this feels like a great natural, organic transition. Start with TV tropes, talk Avatar, go back to tropes. First one, alien blood. Why does what are the mathematical odds that the Na'vi would have red blood?
Huh.
An alien life form on a planet completely evolved independently of us. Not that, but the thing is, blood's red because of the cells in it and the chemicals they carry. So if we specifically found a planet that's hospitable to human life, most of the blood of things here is red, so I actually think the odds are pretty good.
Well, and the avatars are made using the DNA splicing from
we're talking a regular,
controller.
the pure-blooded aliens still bleed red.
Well, I'm just saying that there seems to be some sort of cross-compatibility.
Although, to be fair, we're also cross-compatible with onions, so... Just for, the DNA percentages. Alright.
Well, that's disturbing.
The next one we have is... Let's see, apparently the alien sky where you look at the two moons is a trope.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly a sci-fi trope, but...
Oh, one trope is apparently you have to check the manual. Apparently there's a website that explained what Unobtainium actually does and was a full index of the backstory to the creatures, planets, technology, and Na'vi.
Oh.
But that same manual is also shown in the movie by Dr. Grace.
Yeah, okay.
Alright, let's see. There's always a bigger fish. The first time they're attacked by a titan-nosed organic tank creature. There's always a bigger, nastier organic creature behind them.
Because then they jump on top of the super flying dragon guy.
Yup. Bulletproof arrows. Often in sci-fi and fantasy, when you have arrows, they will be deadlier than bullets.
Just a fact.
Just a fact. The arrows harmlessly bounce off the gunship cockpits, but later, when they fire their arrows from a drive on the Banshees at the gunship canopies, they have sufficient velocity at the right angle to penetrate and kill them. It just makes me think of the Futurama scene where they used a catapult to launch a tiger through the window.
Well, I'm just saying they're probably like the Ewoks who have awesome poison-tipped arrows and stuff too. The Ewoks are savages.
Oh yeah, in the best way. Although I still love the fan theory / there's some evidence that it was written with those being Wookiees instead.
Yeah.
And because, that would narratively tie in the character that's got to no screen time and bring the entire story full circle in a satisfying way. But then they realized that Ewoks would sell more merch. So instead of getting a planet of Chewbacca's brutally murdering the Empire, we get Ewoks.
Hey, they have their own Ewok movie, too.
Ugh, of course they do.
But what's the next Avatar trope?
Let's see. Ascending to the higher plane of existence. When Grace Augustine dies, she becomes one with the Ewa. The movie, as well as Na'vi mythology, implies this happens to all life on Pandora. So apparently they just have an actual heaven inside a USB tree.
Yeah, it sounds like that's actually going to come back based on the trailers for Avatar 2.
Well, I mean, you see, the idea that these naturally occurring life forms are USB compliant is amusing. I don't even mean that in a sassy way. I mean that in so your entire planet, you're doing the nature is all connected, but because everyone's made out of actual electronic transistors, it is in fact all connected.
But I mean, okay. So I mean, TV tropes aside, I was gonna go somewhere about the artistry of creating film. And it's they seem like cinema snobs because they say oh, you have to see it in theaters, and it seems like they're just shilling for profit. But then you mentioned Bleach got uploaded in the wrong aspect ratio, and they had to crop it and make it look right. Or as an example,
not the wrong aspect ratio. It just came out before we had widescreen TVs, because it turns out we're old now.
The Simpsons. got uploaded to Disney Plus in objectively the wrong aspect ratio, and there are actually like scene compositions where there were jokes and stuff that are on the edge of the screen that got cut off because you were watching it in the wrong format. And so it's like there is actually some artistic merit to the idea that new movies were designed to be seen on the big screen, because that's how the director imagined they would be viewed, right?
Yeah.
Which like I say, I'm excited to see Avatar 2. I am a little bit curious how many of these tropes are going to carry forward, and whether or not the plot is actually going to be more nuanced.
I don't know, but there's a line here that says Chekhov's Moss-mediated brain transfer technology.
What?
Because they showed the brain transfer Moss early, and then used it to transfer him into a new body, and none of us were surprised that they had Moss-mediated brain transfer technology.
Huh.
Chekhov's brain transfer Moss is just a great sentence.
Wait, what are other examples of brain transfer moss?
When you like plug their ears in to control their dinosaurs and things, or like they like touch the plants to see each other.
I mean, like that's a trope on TV trope. So what are the other examples of that trope?
Oh, it was just their example of Chekhov's gun.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
and they called it Chekhov's Moss-mediated brain transfer technology.
I hadn't realized that brain transfer was so commonplace to be a trope, but
it probably is at this point. I also enjoy Gondor calls for aid being a trope. It's like, you may think it's cheesy that he's appealing to the tree for help, and then every animal is a weapon that attacks people. It's like, oh yeah, our rhinos are just tanks. It's just straight up, this planet just evolved tanks. Deal with it.
Deal with it. Yeah.
Also, the wider a character's eyes, the more evil they are in this movie.
Oh, really?
The bigger the eyes are, the more good they are. The Na'vi have enormous eyes. Avatars have mid-sized eyes. The humans have small, beady eyes. And then apparently the Aesop's green fable is a recurring thing.
Aesop's dream fable?
Green fable.
It sounds familiar.
Green Aesop. Any story with an Aesop, which is like, Aesop's fables, with an environmental message that warns that unchecked pollution will either destroy the earth or incur Mother Nature's wrath. So these are all the things that are pretty much the same. We have Blue Gender, Blue Seed, Gundam Wing, G Gundam, After Gundam X, Parasite, Pokemon with Asterix, Avatar, Zatch Bell, Princess Mononoke.
Wait, Parasite, like the manga / anime?
Yeah, the guy got stabbed by radio waste and killed him.
Yeah, I guess. He did. He got tetanus.
He did get killed by super tetanus. Apparently Calvin and Hobbes has a ton of them, but they're cynical as hell.
Right.
Let's see. Films animated. Fern Gully, The Simpsons movie, WALL-E, Once Upon a Forest, Sky Blue, Tarzan. Do not meddle with nature, you'll be punished for meddling with meteor rocks. After Earth, Avatar, and Avatar's 7 bullet points about this.
Well, I mean, the allegories are pretty surface level for the whole. Like I say, it's just those themes and ideas presented in it are so.
Man, they could have put some of that budget into naming the Unobtainium, though.
Well, that's what that's it's just all. As soon as I saw that scene, my brain just kind of shut off. I was like, what is? They can't literally be calling it Unobtainium. What? What? Literally Unobtainium. I mean, maybe Unobtainium was named so on TV Tropes from Avatar, but I distinctly remember looking it up before watching Avatar.
Apparently, this is a severe broken Aesop's fable, because the Na'vi planet has giant trees for them to live in, dragons to ride, trees that let you talk to dead people, no sickness, and plentiful food. Meaning that you can respect the environment, but the people living on it directly exploit their environment for their benefit.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty funny.
Apparently, the Avatar DVD includes a message from Pandora, which follows Cameron's visits to the Amazon, protests against a local dam that had yet to be built.
Wait, wasn't Avatar filmed in like China mostly though?
Doesn't mean you can't complain about the environment somewhere.
I mean, I guess.
Oh, Avatar. Let's see. So yeah, like, this story is pretty done to death. Like, the entire concept of Godzilla is a green Aesop. However, and I cannot stress this enough, if Avatar 3 is Avatar versus Godzilla, I will see that midnight release in theaters. I want to watch the Na'vi people, like every people, get wrecked by Godzilla.
I like I say, I'm super curious. I mean, I don't think it's gonna actually be. My boss, he actually went and saw it today, and he told me it was pretty good. And he went and saw it because his favorite podcast said that it was a masterpiece. And so it's like, oh man, is it actually going to be successful enough to like make back its budget? Is it?
I mean, probably not, because why would you release a movie right now people have to see in theaters from aforementioned death? Oh man, I'm still casually like going through these lists of like green Aesop fables in the background. Like Pacific Rims is particularly funny because the Kaiju invade, right? They're incompatible with our atmosphere, so they can't do anything, and then we pollute the Earth enough that they now can go to the atmosphere and kill us all. So it's like, yeah, no, us destroying the planet literally caused Kaiju to murder us. But it's like, but the Kaiju are the bad guys in this one. I'm like, are they though? Wow. Super Mario Bros. 1993, when Koopa mismanaged the Dino Hatton so terribly that the people were running out of food, water, and clean air, prompting them to invade Earth.
Ah, yes. Good old Super Mario Bros.
1993, not to be mistaken for the one that has Chris Pratt in it for some reason. I've never seen
I'm kind
people
of excited for that one, but
so every trailer, I'm like, this movie's so good except Chris Pratt. Can we just? I'm actually gonna wait till they release the YouTube one where they sub out Chris Pratt with just Mario sound effects from Odyssey, and it'll just be a better movie. It'll happen. Someone's gonna release that cut. They might have to be me in disguise, but it's gonna happen.
And you'll be the masked villain.
All right, so here's like the most iconic Avatar stories: the Lorax.
Yeah, okay.
Lord of the Rings, when the trees come to life and beat the evil Industrious to death.
Mm-hmm.
Dune, which is more subtle about it.
Oh yeah, Dune Part 2 comes out.
Oh, what?
2023.
Come out here and we can watch Part 2 together.
I was thinking we gotta go see Dune Part 2 because like
Dune is the best
Dune
Star
1
Wars
was
movie
great.
I've seen in years. Apparently they're actually putting out a Dune survival MMO, and I'm like, that's actually awesome setting for that, where you're in a desert trying to not be killed by murder worms and then have to go up and stab people to take their water. That sounds like a great game. It's like they put in the in-universe, hey, why would you have cool knife fights? They're like, yeah, no, we got this. It's like the more unfair your weapon is, the worse it works. That's just our physics here. Deal with it.
Deal with it. If your weapon moves too fast, it will be stopped.
So you have to come up and stabby stab with space martial arts. Also, we say things at the right frequency to cause brain damage. I'm like, oh man, Dune, you are fascinating. Love Dune. For the record, I'm not condoning any of the questionable things in Dune, because I'm sure there's racism, sexism, misogyny, and terrible, terrible things. But in those 400 pages, there's also some really interesting things.
Okay, so a quick question. This is a little bit off track from Avatar. But I mean, as we noted, I think we might have even did a podcast episode about Dune because we were talking about
we definitely did an episode about Dune. Dune was great. I even put it like number one on my Star Wars movie list.
But we made mention of the evil Asian doctor.
Oh no, yep.
And I'm just curious, is that actually a trope as per tvtropes.com, the evil Asian doctor?
Looking it up now, friend. Let's end on racism. Great choice. Good job. Good co-hosting. Let's take our topic on James Cameron and blue people and Aboriginal metaphors Including, like, the pre-episode conversation we had about my stepdad would have actually fit in very topically, but we're not going to say that on air. Instead, let's look up evil Asian doctor. Racism. I didn't even spell it right. Apparently the trope's called Yellow Peril.
Oh. That trope sounds racist in and of itself.
And the next trope is magical Asian.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
And is a criminal or political mastermind originating in the xenophobic days of the late 19th century, but popular in media ever since. All right, here's the list of examples. It's going to be rough. So, Rurouni Kenshin has one.
Okay.
Not a ton from anime and manga, well, not that surprisingly, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, because they are Asian, so why would they stereotype themselves to be evil?
Yep. Let's see. Comics. We got... I don't recognize that. As a general rule, if you hear me go quiet, it's because I don't recognize the brand. Alright, Batman has no fewer than 5 of them.
Okay.
Including Dr. Jin with his Fu Manchu.
Yeah, okay.
Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, okay.
Someone named Tao Stab.
Tao Stab?
The Dragon. And his sidekick Little Dragon. Johnny Khan. Khan's not even a Chinese name. It's Mongolian for leader of leaders. And a character named, and I quote, Fu Manchu.
Wow.
The Mandarin from Iron Man, of course.
Of course.
Like, of course. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen had a couple of them as well. Apparently the name or the facial hair Fu Manchu comes up enough that that's just an archetype of villain.
Wow. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
It is concerning. Apparently it was a full series of books called The Mystery of Dr. Fu Manchu that went from 1923 to 1980. There's no fewer than 12 films in the series.
Wow.
Then we have Shang-Chi, which they tried to fix. There was a villain named Yellow Peril in Superboy comics.
Oh, well, I guess that's where the name came from.
I guess so. And they're like, apparently there's some example where it's like, well, they're alien in Star Wars, so we're not sure if we can apply it, but it totally happens. Wonder Woman had a villain called Egg Fu, which was a giant egg with a Fu Manchu.
The thing I find the most strange about the evil Asian doctor in...
The cats from Lady and the Tramp. I just need to finish that one. That needed to be said. The Siamese cats who sing about being Siamese.
The thing I find the most strange about the evil Asian in Dune is that it's like he didn't have to be Asian, and in fact it doesn't even really make sense for him to be Asian.
I think I gave a mini rant that by that time in the future there really wouldn't be distinguishable races, because if you were like a traditional current race today, you'd be so inbred you'd be dead.
Yeah.
But before we go back further into this rabbit hole, let's wrap up today's episode with a random question of the week. I say week in quotation marks, like we record these every week on cue, because that's us.
Yeah.
Random question. Haven't done this for a while. Need to find my folder. Random question. Yeah. Would you be willing to reduce your lifespan by 10 years to become rich or famous?
Ooh.
I would do it by 10 years to become rich, but not to become famous, and I have very specific reasoning for that. So right now, I am currently in school. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be in school from somewhere between 2 to 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
If I just became, like, rich, like, super wealthy, that would actually enable me to do everything that the degree would enable me to do without actually needing to finish the degree. So it's like, by the time I actually make money, it'll be 10 years anyway, so I might as well take the shortcut.
Right.
Or counterpoint, if I reduce it by 10 years to become famous, that would make my novels go from being a bestseller in Canada to being an actual bestseller overnight, which would also probably take me about 10 years to do. But my condition is it has to be the last 10 years. I'm not willing to age by 10 years. I'm willing to lose from 100 to 110 off my lifespan. I'm not losing 30 to 40 off my lifespan, because there's a big difference. I would much rather
that is true.
cheat code my way into being a best-selling author while I can still enjoy it. Also, ironically, if you reduce your life by 10 years to become Musk rich or Bezos rich, I'm pretty sure you can add those 10 years back with questionable medical procedures anyway.
Oh, maybe you can use some of that brain transfer moss.
And then, unrelated side note, I did just get a message while we were recording this episode from Panda in another room saying, of course USBs are interplanetary universal. They're called universal serial buses. Of course the aliens have them. But yes, would you be willing to reduce your lifespan by 10 years to become rich or famous?
Honestly, probably not. I mean, like, it does enable you to do a lot of the things that you might want to do.
You could have that maze. You could have that maze tomorrow.
It's lonely at the top.
It's only lonely at the top if you got there by hard work and effort. If a genie just gives you it, nah, I'm good. You think any of you chumps get to know that I'm rich? It's just like, oh man, my book royalties have just been so good lately, Karl, that I bought you a new Jeep. And I paid your salary for 2 weeks, so come drive out and visit me. Like,
that sounds like an additional caveat to the original question.
Hey, I am when a genie talks to me, or a demon, or an archfey, I am very specific with my wording before I agree.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm a dungeon master. My specialty is taking
to,
people's wishes and horrifyingly mangling them. Like when Thedric asked for his friends to come back, and I had to ask each player if they considered Thedric a friend. Which might be my favorite thing I've ever done in D&D, by the way, is I love to put in those ethical traps where all you have to do is not be a bad person and I reward you. All they had to say is, yes, Thedric is my friend, and they came back to life. That is the most passive-aggressive punishment I've ever done, and I'm so happy, because it brought back 3 villains. It rezzed more villains than heroes, because the heroes are pretentious and the villains love this guy.
Cedric was one of my favorite characters ever. But I mean, yeah, my answer, I still say, I mean, on the one hand, it would be nice to cheat code my way to success. On the other hand, particularly if it came overnight, it's like then like you don't even know how to actually deal with it, and so then you're going to fall into lots of perils and pitfalls of the uber wealthy or the ultra famous, where it's like you might accidentally say something and then everybody is suddenly trying to hashtag cancel you. And it's like, oh yeah, you're famous, oh, hashtag canceled, now you're dying in a ditch because you got too famous and said the wrong thing. That sounds like something a genie would do.
That's fair. Where for me, I'm like, okay, I need to make sure there's enough bailout clauses in this legal document, but also our fundamental alignments. You're a chaotic good bard, and I'm a lawful evil warlock. So, like, fundamentally, I'm willing to make dark deals with people for power. I applied for Ontario student loans. If that's not a contract for money by signing your soul to the devil, I don't know what is. So I'm trying to pull a Constantine here, where I have enough people owing each other debt that they don't have to fight each other to claim the debt, and I'm in the clear. But thank you for everyone for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you heard, this infotainment into your eardrums, then click on that link tree at the bottom of the video. Pick up a copy of the Minuet of Sorcery. It's a pretty good book, and if you don't read it, it's also a paperweight. Feel free to submit your random questions right through that link tree for your chance to win Waltz of Blades merch gift cards, which I'm hoping to have some DeepSpace and Dragons designs up there shortly. It'll be great. And
don't we have the coffee mug up?
We do have a coffee mug, but I was planning to do something fun with my artist to get some nice Karl and Richard caricatures done up to put on some DeepSpace and Dragons merch. And with that, thank you everybody for tuning in. Take care, and eggnog is questionable. Bye.
Bye.
I'd say that one went pretty well.
I'd say so.
So I've actually added the submit a question right to the link tree so people can just submit it there. Before it was like click here. It still says like click here for your chance to win a merch gift card, but I put in like a chat box for them to submit their questions that way.
Right.
And yeah, I'm gonna get my artist to do up a Karl picture to match the Richard picture, and then possibly have like a Deep Space and Dragons t-shirt going.
That would be pretty sick.
Yeah.